Okay, so we'll look at Coupang. A Stark 5-minute timeout. Timeout. So billion some odd shares. Coupang. 24 large stocks. So this is a big company. Almost 2 billion shares, actually. Let me change the Chiron. I hate that term. Korean Amazon. Yeah, retention is pretty common in most of these, but I mean, I do think AI, changes the tutor game a little bit, but people use Shed for lots of things. All right, so almost a 50 billion market cap. Really big company, 44 billion. Yeah, we're not really making any AI apps. Godel doesn't have too much AI in it just yet. Nvidia, the rumor that Microsoft is canceling data center contracts, even though there was a lot of bullishness on CapEx, talk is cheap, and those numbers can change at any time. Having said that, there's a pretty smart guy out there saying that Nvidia is going to double revenues next year, which is way above where Wall Street's at. So you just have to ask yourself what's going to happen. I mean, it's very hard to decide. You have XAI out there basically saying the more chips you buy, the better the product you get. Okay? So who's left as a customer? You've got OpenAI, right? They're gonna be a multi-billion-dollar customer with Microsoft. You got X. He's raising another 10 billion, rumor has it, to buy more chips. Could be raising another 20 billion, right? We just don't know. Amazon and Anthropic, although I think Amazon's pretty cheap, so Anthropic's going to have to raise a lot more if they're going to really compete. So now, who's left? How many more companies are going to really sink in 10, 20 billion plus into CapEx? Google's out there, but Google's also got TPUs. So it's hard to find. I mean, Meta's out there buying these things. There's not that many companies left, man, who can really buy a ton of GPUs. There's not that much cash raised. All these guys raised cash already. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the problems with growth is that the job gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. And you just can't grow forever. I think companies like Figure will buy GPUs and Tesla. Yeah, there's a couple of other buyers. But yeah, there's also the possibility of making your own chips. It's tough. If I'm in Nvidia sales right now, there's only so much money these companies have raised, and it all goes to GPUs. So I think demand is really great, don't get me wrong, but yeah, exactly, Pugna. I'm scared to ask what Pugna means. But yeah, Pugna enjoyer's right. Like, these machines aren't a whole lot better. Yeah. Definitely a little worrisome. I do think like there's a couple of companies that have thrown their hat down and said we're going to go the distance. XAI, OpenAI, I guess AWS Anthropic or Google Anthropic. And it's just like, we're going to spend as much money as possible. We don't give a crap. Like, we want as many machines as possible. We can never have enough machines. And, that's fine. But even those companies are somewhat capital constrained. Microsoft OpenAI isn't really, but there's still a limit. And Nvidia revenue has grown quite a lot, so the gap to fill is just really big. I think DeepSeek doesn't help at all. So, yeah. Again, Nvidia might have a very good quarter and give very good guidance. So just keep that in mind. Like, there's nothing that is stopping that from happening. Really don't, just I'm giving you something to think about. I'm not necessarily saying go out and sell this immediately. My allergies are so bad. Okay, yeah, so it looks like retail margins here for Coupang, really, really small margins. But high growth. %27 revenue growth year over year last quarter. Not bad. Apex, no. That's probably a crime, buddy. Might do this quick call. Godel is growing so fast I have to take a lot of calls and do a lot of stuff outside of stock analysis. I'm not sure if Blackwell had any big delays. That might be a meme, but that would mean they had a pretty bad quarter if that was true. But, you know, they could be pent-up demand and guidance
Order
will
filled.
be fine. Hey guys. It honestly doesn't matter to me that much if I get a pardon or not. I'd rather my ex-lawyer get a pardon. That guy really did nothing wrong at all. So if I talk to some administration people, I'd rather mention him than me. What a good guy, huh? No. Like I said, I'm less concerned with myself. Yeah, I'm more concerned with Evan. I mean, he really did absolutely nothing wrong other than represent me as a lawyer. I still believe I did nothing wrong. He got indicted. He got 18 months, but yeah, that was really unfair. I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't done stupid things before, but I don't think I've done illegal things before. And sometimes there's not much of a difference.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
Basically, the reason the guy was indicted was you could rely on advice of counsel as a defense to a crime and say, I'm just doing what my lawyer told me to. But there's an exception called the crime fraud exception, where they basically say, okay, you listen to your lawyer, but you and your lawyer conspired to be criminals. And it's like, what the fuck? That's the way they get around that. I actually almost never met face-to-face with my attorney because I was busy. I was on the phone working my butt off building one of the fastest growing drug companies of all time. But, it is what it is, man. No, I don't let a hater get me down. Okay, so Coupang has some cash flow. $1 billion here. $2 billion last year. PP&E, 665 and 662. So 54 times earnings with that kind of growth. I'd like to see what the business is in more detail, but my first inclination is long. They didn't even subpoena him. They just barged in his house and arrested him. I don't believe in gamma squeeze as much as others do. I don't believe it's fake. I think it's real, but I try to stick to the fundamentals and the values. Market shenanigans are. Yeah, I'm sort of wondering how big the South Korean market is in the first place. FTF. That was funny. My prosecutor was trying to get me in more trouble because I was using the jail email to talk shit, and of course they get to read the jail email. It's totally unfair. And she was like, "This woman. I have nothing nice to say about her." She was like, Your Honor, he wrote "fuck the feds." I was like, she was so upset. My judge is pretty smart. She must have been like, well, if you were locked the fuck up, what would you say? I love the feds. Good work ethic. It means you take your career very seriously and you put it ahead of frivolities, frivolous nonsense. Yeah, it's really funny. If you go to jail, you can use the email system But the people who put you there are reading your emails. Yeah, we fucked with Akon. Yeah. Not like crazy. I think I was at peak like deep state, and well, I think the deep state peaked a few years after I got arrested, but the media, I was at peak media. So media a few years after had already sort of fallen. I was the top of the media. But the media was still we can ruin your life. And I'm like, no, you can't. Get the fuck out of here. And they're like, he's laughing at us. No. BuzzFeed, we're serious. Business. So they're like, you know what? I'm going to write an article. And then he said, lick my balls. And then the prosecutor's like, oh my God, we gotta get this guy. That's latent misogyny. That's my Karen voice, by the way. Excuse me, I'm a journalist. I will write an article about you. HuffPo is the best. I used to say the craziest shit to HuffPo. Yeah, if you don't answer their questions the way they want you to, you're harassing them. This is harassment. No, harassment is you asking me this random shit. It's Elizabeth Warren. They all work for Elizabeth Warren, or they want to. So when Elizabeth Warren wants an article written, they write it for her. All it takes is a phone call. They're like, yes, Miss Warren, we're on it. We're on the case. And Bloomberg does a lot of those, by the way. Bloomberg, the software is great, but Bloomberg News, man. They're as liberal as it gets. I like this stock a lot, actually. Growth is insane. I mean, if you think about the market cap, let's see, what's the South Korea's GDP is $1 trillion? One, maybe two? Yeah. I think it's exciting. Probably get a double out of Coupang pretty easily. I disagree with Elon on a lot of things. I still admire the guy. I can still glaze. But I mean, everybody's got to do their own thing, man. I don't worry about him. He doesn't worry about me. I will say he said some nice things about me to a mutual friend. Coupang is this week, huh? Interesting.
Order filled. Order filled.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, it's a lot of work. A lot of work I don't want to do. I'm kidding.
Order filled.